For the past 11 years, I have been quietly building and rotating my emergency food storage, watching what actually disappears during shortages and what stays on the shelves. While everyone is panic buying the same freeze-dried meals and canned goods they saw on some prepper blog, I am walking into stores the day after a crisis starts and loading my cart with stuff that is fully stocked, dirt cheap, and will keep your family fed when the popular items are long gone. Number 9 is sitting at your local Asian grocery store right now for under $4, and I watched it stay fully stocked through the entire 2020 panic while rice and beans got cleared out in 72 hours. The problem is that when everyone reads the same survival blogs and buys the same stuff, that is exactly what disappears first. Back in early 2020, I watched pasta, canned soup, and peanut butter get wiped out in a single weekend, but the items I am about to show you, still sitting there 2 weeks later. If you are smart, you will grab these before March 9, 2026, and if you know why that date matters, you are already ahead of 90% of people watching this. Before I reveal all 13 items, go ahead and subscribe right now because I drop videos like this every single week that will make you feel like you have been prepping wrong your entire life. Number 1 is going to sound boring until you understand what it actually does for your body during a crisis. Miso paste. Before you think this is some overpriced health food store nonsense, stay with me. Most people stock protein bars, canned meat, peanut butter, all the typical stuff. But here's what nobody talks about. When supply chains collapse and fresh food disappears, your gut stops working right. You are eating dried and canned food, you are stressed, your digestion shuts down. Miso paste is fermented soybeans loaded with probiotics that keep your gut functioning when everything else is trying to destroy it. I learned this the hard way during a winter storm 3 years ago when my family was stuck eating nothing but canned and dried food for 11 days straight. By day 5, everyone felt awful, bloated, tired, miserable. I started adding a spoonful of miso to hot water every morning, and within 2 days everything stabilized. Your gut controls your immune system. If your gut crashes during an emergency, you are not just uncomfortable, you are vulnerable. Here is what I do. I boil water, dissolve 1 tablespoon of miso paste in a mug, drink it like tea, takes 90 seconds. You can also stir it into rice, soup, anything warm. A 1-pound container costs about $6 at any Asian grocery store and lasts me 4 months using it several times a week. Meanwhile, preppers are spending $40 on probiotic capsules that lose potency after a year. Miso paste lasts indefinitely in the fridge, and even without refrigeration, the salt content keeps it stable for over a year. And here is the key. When the panic buyers are clearing out the canned chicken and ramen, they are not touching the miso. It is invisible to 95% of people. Look, food prices are rising faster than most people can track, and pretending your current pantry will hold up during the next shortage is just lying to yourself. I have done the math for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 27 items you must keep, which you can buy from any grocery store without spending a fortune or filling your garage with buckets. It can feed your family for 3 weeks and costs less than a single car payment. You can grab it for free at the link in the description so you can stop wondering if you are doing this right and start actually prepping like someone who knows what they are doing. Number 2 is something your great-grandparents knew about, but somehow it got erased from modern prepping: dried seaweed sheets. Nari, kombu, wakame, whatever you can find. This one sounds weird until you realize what happens to your body when you are eating nothing but shelf-stable food for weeks. You stop getting iodine, your thyroid starts failing, you get tired, cold, foggy. Most people have no idea this is even happening. A single sheet of nari contains more iodine than most people get in an entire week. I keep a 50-sheet pack of roasted seaweed snacks in my pantry at all times, and I watched those packs stay fully stocked at every grocery store during 2020 while the canned tuna and sardines got obliterated. Here is what I do. I tear up a sheet and toss it into soup, or I just eat it as a snack. My kids think it is chips. A 50-sheet pack costs $3 at any Asian market. That is 6 cents per sheet for a micronutrient bomb that weighs nothing, stores forever, and nobody is fighting you for it. If you are stocking rice and beans but not seaweed, you are setting yourself up for nutritional collapse. Number 3 is sitting in the baking aisle right now, and it is one of the most underrated survival foods on the planet. Cornmeal, not the instant stuff, not the cornbread mix, just plain stone-ground cornmeal. Here is why this matters. Cornmeal is cheaper than rice, stores just as long, and gives you way more flexibility. You can make cornbread, polenta, porridge, tortillas, mush, anything. I talked to a guy who manages distribution for a major food company, 20 years in the business, and he told me cornmeal almost never sees panic buying because people do not know what to do with it. Last year during a local supply chain hiccup, I walked into my grocery store and the rice aisle was gutted. The cornmeal, fully stocked, I bought 6 bags. Here's what I do. I store it in a food-grade bucket with an oxygen absorber and it lasts 10 years easy. Without an oxygen absorber, it lasts about 2 years in a cool, dark place. A 5-pound bag costs $2. $2. Meanwhile, preppers are spending $30 on a bucket of freeze-dried potatoes that taste like insulation. You can make cornbread in a cast iron skillet with just cornmeal, water, and a little oil. No oven, no fancy tools. I have done it over a fire. If you want food security that nobody is competing for, cornmeal is it. Number 4 is absolute gold, and I felt like an idiot for not stocking this sooner. Nutritional yeast. Before you click away thinking this is vegan hippie food, hear me out. Nutritional yeast is deactivated yeast that tastes like cheese, and it is absolutely packed with B vitamins, protein, and flavor. When you are eating bland survival food day after day, food monotony causes decision fatigue. Boring food makes you stupid when you need to be sharp. Nutritional yeast turns rice, beans, popcorn, pasta, anything into something that actually tastes good. I opened a container from 4 years ago last week. Tasted perfect. A 1-pound bag costs $8 at any health food store or bulk section, and you use maybe 2 tablespoons per meal. That is over 30 meals from one bag. Here is what I do. I sprinkle it on popcorn, stir it into soup, mix it with rice and beans. It adds a nutty, cheesy flavor that makes cheap food feel like real food, and here is the kicker. Nobody panic buys nutritional yeast. I have never once seen it out of stock, not during 2020, not during any regional shortage. It is invisible. Number 5 is going to sound too simple, but simplicity is exactly why it works. Bouillon cubes, chicken, beef, vegetable, whatever. These little cubes are pure concentrated flavor and salt, and they turn boring food into something your family will actually eat without complaining. I have got cubes in my pantry that are 3 years old, still perfect. A box of 32 cubes costs about $3, and each cube makes 2 cups of broth. That is 64 cups of broth for $3. Compare that to canned broth at $2 per can for 2 cups. You are paying 20 times more for water weight. Here is what I do. I toss a cube into rice while it is cooking, or I dissolve one in hot water and drink it when I am cold or tired. Instant warmth, instant sodium replacement, instant morale boost. During a crisis, morale is not a luxury, it is survival. When your kids are scared and tired and eating the same food for the 5th day in a row, a cup of hot broth makes everything feel more normal. And bouillon cubes store forever in a sealed container. No refrigeration, no special prep, just twist the cube into your food and you are done. Most preppers overlook this completely because it seems too basic. That is exactly why it works. Number 6 is something I learned from my neighbor who grew up in rural Appalachia, and it changed the way I think about survival food. Dried hominy. This is whole corn kernels that have been treated with lime, and it is one of the oldest preserved foods in North America. You can find it in the Mexican food aisle, usually in a bag next to the dried beans. Here is what makes hominy brilliant. It is cheaper than dried beans, it has got more calories than rice, and it is filling in a way that makes you feel like you actually ate a meal. A 2-pound bag costs about $3 and makes enough hominy to feed 4 people for 2 days. I made a batch during a power outage last winter, and it kept my family full and happy when we were rationing everything else. Here is what I do. Soak it overnight, then simmer it for 2 hours until it is soft. You can eat it plain, toss it in soup, fry it, mash it, whatever. It tastes like corn but with a richer, deeper flavor. And just like cornmeal, nobody fights over dried hominy. I have never seen it out of stock, not once. If you are serious about feeding your family during a shortage without spending a fortune, dried hominy belongs in your pantry. Number 7 is sitting at your local Asian market right now for under $3, and it is one of the smartest things you can stock. Dried mushrooms. Shiitake, wood ear, porcini, whatever you can find. Here is why this matters. Dried mushrooms are pure umami flavor, and umami is what makes food taste rich and satisfying. When you are eating bland rice and beans every day, a handful of dried mushrooms turns that meal into something that feels like real food. I keep a 1-pound bag of dried shiitake mushrooms in my pantry, and I have had that same bag for over 2 years. Still perfect. Here is what I do. I soak a few mushrooms in hot water for 10 minutes, chop them up, and toss them into soup, rice, beans, whatever. The soaking water becomes mushroom broth, so you use everything. A 1-pound bag costs about $12 and gives you over 50 servings. That is 24 cents per serving of flavor and nutrition that stores indefinitely. Meanwhile, preppers are buying canned mushrooms at $2 per can for 1 serving. You are paying 8 times more for water in a can. Dried mushrooms also contain vitamin D, which you are not getting from rice and beans. When you are stuck inside during a crisis and not seeing sunlight, vitamin D crashes fast. Dried mushrooms help fill that gap. And again, nobody panic buys dried mushrooms. They are invisible. Number 8 is one of those things that seems too obvious until you realize most people never think about it. Powdered milk, not the instant stuff that tastes like chalk. I am talking about whole powdered milk, or even better, powdered coconut milk. Here's the problem with most survival food. It is low in fat. Your body needs fat, not wants, needs. Fat keeps you warm, keeps your brain working, keeps your hormones stable. When you are eating nothing but grains and beans, you are running on empty. Powdered milk gives you fat, protein, calcium, and calories in a shelf-stable form that lasts for years. I keep a 5-pound bag of whole powdered milk in a sealed container, and it has been sitting there for 18 months. Still tastes fine. Here's what I do. I mix it into oatmeal, coffee, soup, or I just drink it. 2 tablespoons of powder plus 8 ounces of water makes a cup of milk. A 5-pound bag costs about $25 and makes 5 gallons of milk. Compare that to fresh milk at $4 per gallon that spoils in a week. Powdered coconut milk is even better if you are worried about dairy. It has more fat, stores longer, and tastes incredible. A 1-pound bag costs about $10 at any Asian market. And here is the best part. Powdered milk does not get cleared out during shortages because most people think it tastes bad. Their loss. Number 9 is the one I teased at the beginning, and it is a total game changer. Rice vermicelli noodles. These are thin rice noodles that cook in about 3 minutes with nothing but boiling water. I watched these stay fully stocked at every Asian grocery store through the entire 2020 shortage while pasta got destroyed. A 1-pound package costs about $2 and makes enough noodles for 6 meals. Here is why rice vermicelli is brilliant. It is faster than regular pasta, lighter than regular pasta, and stores forever. You do not need a stove, you do not need a pot, you can cook it in a bowl with boiling water. I have done it during camping trips and power outages. It is dead simple. Here's what I do. I pour boiling water over the noodles, wait 3 minutes, drain and toss with whatever I have. Soy sauce, sesame oil, dried vegetables, anything. It is filling, cheap, and nobody is fighting you for it. A single package stores flat, takes up almost no space, and lasts indefinitely in a sealed container. If you are stocking pasta but not rice vermicelli, you are missing a faster, lighter, cheaper option that actually stays in stock when you need it. Number 10 is something most people think of as a condiment, but it is actually a survival food. Tahini. This is ground sesame seeds, and it is one of the most calorie-dense, nutrient-packed foods you can store. A single tablespoon has 90 calories, healthy fats, protein, calcium, and magnesium, when you are eating low-calorie survival food. Tahini gives you the fat and calories your body is screaming for. I keep a jar of tahini in my pantry at all times, and it lasts over a year even after opening. Unopened, it lasts several years. Here is what I do. I stir a spoonful into oatmeal, mix it with water and salt to make a sauce, or I just eat it off a spoon when I need quick energy. A 16-ounce jar costs about $7 and gives you over 30 servings. That is 23 cents per serving of pure nutrition. Compare that to energy bars at $2 each. You are paying 8 times more for packaging and marketing, and tahini is invisible during shortages. I have never seen it out of stock, not once. If you are serious about keeping your body fueled during a crisis, tahini belongs in your pantry. Number 11 is something that should be in every single survival pantry, but almost nobody stocks it. Dried lentils, not canned. Dried. Here is why dried lentils beat every other bean. They cook in 20 minutes with no soaking, no overnight prep, no hours of simmering, just 20 minutes. When you are exhausted and hungry during a crisis, the last thing you want is to wait 4 hours for beans to cook. Dried lentils also store for over 10 years in a sealed container. They are packed with protein and fiber, and they cost almost nothing. A 1-pound bag costs about $1 and makes enough lentils for 8 servings. That is 12 cents per serving. Here's what I do. I rinse them, toss them in boiling water, add a bouillon cube and some dried vegetables, and 20 minutes later I have a meal. No soaking, no planning, no waiting. During a winter storm 2 years ago, I made lentil soup 3 times in 1 week because it was the fastest, easiest thing I could cook on a camp stove. And dried lentils do not get panic bought like canned beans. They are sitting there on the shelf waiting for someone smart enough to grab them. Number 12 is going to blow your mind because it is cheap, lasts forever, and almost nobody thinks about it. Baking soda, not just for baking. Baking soda is one of the most versatile survival products you can stock. You can use it to brush your teeth, clean your body, wash dishes, put out grease fires, neutralize stomach acid, and yes, make bread. A 1-pound box costs $1 and lasts indefinitely. I have a box in my pantry that is 5 years old, still works perfectly. Here is what I do. I keep a small jar of baking soda mixed with a little salt as emergency toothpaste. I use it to scrub pots when I am out of dish soap. I add a pinch to beans while they are cooking to make them softer and easier to digest. I even used it to put out a small grease fire in my kitchen last year. $1, 1 box, a dozen survival uses. Meanwhile, preppers are buying specialized fire extinguishers, toothpaste stockpiles, and antacids. Baking soda does all of it. And it never ever gets cleared out during shortages because most people think it is just for baking. Their ignorance is your advantage. Number 13 is the last one, and it is something I wish I had stocked a decade ago. Ghee. This is clarified butter that has had all the milk solids removed, and it is one of the only fats that stores at room temperature for over a year without going rancid. Here's the problem with most survival food. It is dry, it is low in fat, it tastes like cardboard. Ghee fixes all of that. You can fry with it, spread it on bread, mix it into rice, use it anywhere you would use butter or oil. A 16-ounce jar costs about $10 at any Indian grocery store or health food store, and it lasts 18 months at room temperature, longer in the fridge. I opened a jar from 2 years ago last month. Tasted perfect. Here's what I do. I keep 3 jars in my pantry and rotate them every year. I use ghee to cook eggs, fry tortillas, add richness to soup, anything. Your body needs fat to survive cold weather, to think clearly, to stay strong. Ghee gives you that fat in a shelf-stable form that nobody is panic buying. And because it is sold in Indian and health food stores, it is completely off the radar of mainstream preppers. While everyone else is hoarding Crisco and vegetable oil that go rancid in 6 months, you have got ghee sitting there for years. So while everyone else is fighting over the same tired freeze-dried meals and canned goods they saw on every prepper channel, you now know 13 items that are cheaper, easier to store, and will actually still be available when the popular stuff is long gone. These are not theory. These are not hypotheticals. These are the exact items I have watched stay in stock during every shortage over the past 11 years while the mainstream stuff disappeared in hours. Drop a comment right now telling me which of these you are going to stock up on first, because I want to know if you are finally ready to prep smarter than everyone else. And next week, I am revealing the 7 tools everyone thinks are essential for emergencies but are actually completely worthless when things really fall apart. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now, because I drop videos like this every single week that will completely change the way you think about survival.